By the end of the Second World War, the world's major powers had learned a brutal lesson. Not one single inch of the planet's surface is safe from the devastation of modern warfare. The structures of civil government, military command and control, weapons production and storage, and strategic bases can be wiped out in an instant, not only by nuclear weapons, but also by highly accurate and powerful conventional hellfire hurled down from the sky. By the turn of the 21st century, non-state actors like Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis, and the state powers that sponsor their terrorism, like Iran, had learned the same lesson. Underground facilities have become an important way for the weak to avoid and exploit the powerful. Global intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities, and the strategic reach of the precision-guided weapons of major powers like the United States ensure that there is nowhere to hide. For all of the above reasons, the answer is simple. Go deep, go hard, and go underground. The underground is the future of modern warfare. The subterranean world will be used to protect critical assets, develop covert facilities, and hide armed operations. There is nothing new about underground warfare. As long as warfare has existed, which is to say most of human history, warriors have taken advantage of natural hideouts, such as caves, or built new underground structures to conceal their movements and their fighting assets. The first-century historian Josephus, for example, once commanded a unit of Jewish rebels fighting against Rome. At the losing end of their fight, Josephus and his troops holed up in one of the caves that the rebels used. Rather than surrender, they swore to a suicide pact. After everyone else had committed suicide, Josephus changed his mind. He surrendered and became a favored author among the nobility of Rome. Until the rise of modern industrial warfare, the underground was mostly used as an offensive tool. Armies dug tunnels under their enemies' defensive lines. In the medieval era, after a tunnel had been dug under fortress walls, for example, the wooden beams supporting the tunnel would be set on fire. The tunnel would collapse. The earth under the castle walls would fall into the void, and the fortress would come tumbling down. In the American Civil War, Pennsylvania coal miners dug a tunnel under the Confederate lines at Petersburg, Virginia. They detonated 8,000 pounds of black powder explosive. The blast opened a huge crater, killing almost 300 Confederate soldiers. Unfortunately, incompetent Union generals bungled the subsequent operation and lost the ensuing Battle of the Crater. In the First World War, sappers also dug long, deep tunnels under enemy lines, packed them with explosives, and blew things and people up. Tunnels are still used by armies and terrorists like Hamas and Hezbollah for such offensive attacks. This is a subject that will be covered in a later episode. In this episode, we look at hard and deep defensive underground structures, like the Iranian nuclear facility at Natanz. Underground bunkers may be constructed in one of two basic ways. The first way is called cut and cover. Simply put, a trench is cut into the earth, and it is then covered with protective material such as earth and concrete. Cut and cover shelter proved marginal even during the Second World War, and there is little question today that even the best of these cut and cover bunkers can be blasted away by conventional weapons such as precision-guided munitions. The second method is tunneling. Tunnel builders can dig deep and add more hardened layers of protection, known as the overburden. Even better, they can use the natural protection of mountains. Civilian infrastructure like railroad and subway tunnels has also been used as defensive shelter from the earliest days of modern aerial bombardment. The first strategic bombing in history is said to have been the German Zeppelin attack on the Belgian city of Liège on August 6, 1914. It was the first time an aerial bomb was dropped on a city. Civilians in London took shelter from such Zeppelin attacks in the London Underground. The Underground was used again during Nazi Germany's London Blitz in the Second World War. Nazi leaders saw the implication of their own aerial power and built multiple underground bunkers. The most famous, but by no means the only one of these bunkers, was the Führer bunker in Berlin, in which Adolf Hitler committed suicide in 1945. By the end of that modern total war, entire cities had been destroyed. Some were left in ashes. Hamburg, Dresden, Tokyo, and other cities were burned out by strategic firebombing. As ominous as these strategic bombing lessons were for survivability, the postgraduate essays of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the proliferation of thermonuclear weapons in the megaton left no margin for defensive error. Subsequent developments in strategic conventional weaponry, such as the thermobaric bomb dropped on al-Qaeda forces in Afghanistan in March 2002, shoved cut and cover to a relatively minor tactical role. The deeply dug and strongly hardened underground bunkers rose to the head of the class. Examples exist throughout the world today. The United States, Israel, Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran all have major underground sites. These hard and deep underground structures present at least two major problems. The first is the question of intelligence, how to locate them, determine their architecture, understand their purpose, and learn what and who is inside of them. The second is what to do about them when they are discovered. Neutralizing underground facilities is a complex, difficult, and lengthy challenge. An attacking force can go for either of two results when attacking such a complex. The first is the hard kill, completely destroying the underground structure. But given the depth and strength of many of today's underground structures, the only realistic option is the second option, the functional kill. That is an attack which would destroy enough of a bunker's infrastructure or access that the bunker becomes essentially useless. Food and water supplies, life support systems, and vital communications can be destroyed. In coming episodes, we will look at other questions, such as that of intelligence, how to find something so hard, so deep, and so well concealed, and attack options, how and when to destroy them.